Closed captioning provided by Beaufort County.
We're going to start the Natural Resource Committee meeting for September the 2nd. You cannot hear me. Can you hear me now? Okay. We're going to start the Natural Resource Committee for September the 2nd. I'm still in August. I don't know why, but at 3 o'clock. And if you would rise with me and join me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag. United States of America, the Republic of the States, one nation, oh, y'all sound like a good choir out there. Yeah. Statement of compliance with the Freedom of Information Act. Everybody's been notified publicly, the media, et cetera, of this time, date, and place of this meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm down to the approval of the agenda, and the chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Motion,
Okay.
second motion.
Seconded. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Item number 8G. Robert's Rules of Order does not permit a motion for discussion. We already adopted a deferral of this zoning amendment, so I do not understand why this is on the agenda as it is. Therefore, I amend the agenda to have item 8G removed from the agenda.
I'll second that.
And now you said Robert Rules of Order,
Yes, sir.
but what does it have to do with the chair and having it on there?
The chair can have it on there if there is a specific action to be taken, not a discussion, an action. Robert's rule said you act, you deny, or you amend something, and you have a debate about that. This is not that.
This is not about, is the decision to defer. That's what we're discussing. The decision that was made to defer. And we're asking the staff to explain exactly to the community why we made that decision to defer. That's all it's asking.
What is the action? That's not an action.
It's a discussion.
No. A
It is.
discussion only takes place if there is an action item on the agenda. And there is no action to be taken here. It was already approved. Is the chair saying you're looking for someone to say, I want to remove that action, prior action? That would be an action.
No, I want the staff to explain to this committee here, as well as to the public, why a defer was granted. And that's the direction of council. Now, that's where it is. Brian, would you want to speak toward that?
Well, when it comes time for the discussion item, I'll certainly address what the chair has asked me to express to the public. That's not, yes. We have things, discussion items on the agenda routine. I mean, that's the regular course of practice here for council and committee. It doesn't have to be an action. You're just having the discussion to gather thoughts and voice the concern. But here, it's purely the intent of the chair of the committee and council that the public know why the item was deferred. That's so forth being on there, but it's just going to be remaking a one-end statement explaining what's occurred, kind of a timeline, if you will. And then we'll close it, and then we'll go to public comment, and let the people that plan their schedules to speak here, we'll allow them to speak. That's so that was being on the agenda.
Mr. The author of the motion, will require a 2/3 vote. Am I not right?
No.
Take something off.
Majority.
And you got a second, so you want to hold forth your motion?
That's correct.
Okay, we will now, have a roll call. I like that one. A roll call on this action right here to remove action item G from, from the agenda.
Can I ask a
Thank you.
question before that vote, sir? Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there a way to keep this matter on the agenda? Is there a way for that to occur so that Mr. Holbert can make that presentation?
Yes, there is.
Well, can
Remove
we
it
do it?
as an agenda item and place it as an item by itself.
Okay, so can we take that action to prevent all of this noise? If we just want to have him make a presentation, can we just change this somehow with an amendment to your motion, Mr. Passman?
Well, you still have to remove it as an agenda item and then change it to a discussion item outside the agenda items.
Okay, I'm agreeable to that, so long as we have a way, Mr. Chairman, to resolve the issue so that we can accomplish the goal, whatever it takes. So Mr. Passman, do we now have to vote on this to remove it and then reinstate it as an agenda item?
Correct.
Thank you very much.
I think you can do it.
What?
Any other discussion on the matter?
What's there?
Those in favor of, please.
You can, I think you'll have them, go ahead. Councilmember Passman,
Yes.
Committee Vice Chair Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Reeds,
Yes.
Chair Howard,
No.
Vice Chair Tabernick,
No.
Councilmember McKellen,
Yes.
Councilmember Dawson,
No.
Committee Chair Glover.
No.
The motion fails.
Okay, we're gonna move the agenda at this time. There's the approval of the minutes.
You still need to vote on approving the agenda.
Sorry?
You still need to vote on approving the agenda.
Oh, you're right. I'm moving too fast, huh? Keep me slowed down because I will do that. All those in favor of the approval of the agenda, and at this time, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, and those in opposition? And those abstaining? Okay, I'm not too sure how,
Mr. Reed doesn't vote.
yeah.
I'm voting
And I don't
no.
I'm
think,
confused. I don't know what we're doing.
I'm, no, listen, no.
it's 6-2?
It passes.
Okay.
Well,
Did you vote, or you abstained?
Yes.
Which one?
No, he voted no.
Okay,
I voted no. Yeah, I voted
so it's 3, no.
yeah.
Okay, okay. Now can we get to the approval of the minutes for June the 2nd, 2025?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from June 2nd, 2025.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is properly motion and seconded to approve the June 2nd, 2025 minutes. Can we pass this without any objection? Seeing none,
No objection.
okay, seeing none is passed. We're down to the public comment.
You want me to read those? Or do you want to read them?
No, you can read
Natasha
it.
Robinson?
Wait,
No,
let's
no,
read
no.
this first.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. All right. I think everyone pretty much knows.
okay. I will. At the public comment, every member of the public who is recognized to speak shall limit comments to 3 minutes and observe the following protocol. Address the chair and in speaking avoid disrespect to council or any personalities confine themselves to questions under the judiciary of this council and be mindful and respectful for those who are present and others who may be watching on television. At this time, we'll have our first speaker here. And what we're going to do is that we're going to open up 15 minutes for public comment initially, and then at the end, we allow you for 45 minutes for public comments. So we're adding public comments on the end, and we extending that to 45 minutes. So, Mr. Robertson.
Good evening to the board, to St. Helena Island and all of the supporters thereof. I just wanted to address unethical practices and propaganda in this fight for St. Helena Island. Now, each side is allowed to voice and to do whatever they have to do to fight, to show what is right for St. Helena Island. Now, when it comes down to people who are not from St. Helena Island, they don't have any vested interest other than a way that they can make money or profit from it, even though the people there do not want it. When you step out and you do things like you get a petition and then you go to a festival in Yamasee, South Carolina, and go into a group of children, and there are videos and pictures, I'm pretty sure y'all don't want me to put them up, but of Mr. Roy Brown in the middle of 12, 13, 14-year-old middle school children, having them to sign a petition to go against the CPO on St. Helena Island for this fight on St. Helena Island. Now, I don't mind a good fight, but when you go that far below the belt, there is an issue. That is somebody who cannot be trusted, not their word, their ways, or their deed. Now, by God, help me, because as him being an elder, you look at them in a certain light. Because I grew up in a Gullah Geechee community where the elders are the most important. They are the source of the wisdom and the teachings that we come up under. So when you see an elder to go and commit something so low, and I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. Yeah, I do want to cry. To do something so low and so crooked, that shows you how bad these people are trying to get in to drive what it is they want. I just ask y'all to stay righteous, to do what is right for those of us who were born, bred, and raised on St. Helena Island. I got my great-grandmama, my great-granddaddy, my great-great-granddaddy blood that I walk on every day. And I don't want nobody to come and ruin it. Our way of life has been there, and we want to keep it. That's what has brought people here. And so why would you want to come and destroy it and recreate something that is all over everywhere else that they run from to come here? Please, please uphold the CPO. I say this for me, my child, his children to come, my great-grandparents, and everything they stood and fought for. You can't see something that's so crooked. How long does it take you to see a crooked line before you know it's crooked? Unless you looking with crooked eyes to see it straight. Please, people. Thank you.
You're next.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wendy Zorro, Wendy Zorro? That's what it looks like, see? Z-A-R, okay, thank you, Wendy.
I'm Wendy Zara.
Okay.
I live in Port Royal, and thank you very much. Can you hear now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I was here when the CPO was turned into law. I moved here in 1992. I lived in Sheldon, and there was a big group of people in Sheldon, as well as a big group of people in St. Helena who worked very hard, not only on the comp plan, but also on the amendment to implement it, which is what enshrines the CPO. Probably none of you were on council, unless you were, Mr. Dawson, were you on council in 1999? It passed in 1999. we wanted it the same thing in Sheldon, but we could only get the votes for them to do one place, and they did St. Helena, which is certainly better than none. These laws are passed for a reason. We spend a lot of time talking about comprehensive plans and planning. Well, as you know, by state law, the comp plan has to be consistently updated, as does the ordinances. But at the time of this particular, in 1999, there was a big emphasis, at least north of the Broad, on preserving the real rural areas. And that enactment of the growth boundaries. There also were, I don't know if any of you remember, but there were 2 studies on the cost of growth. One covered south of the Broad, the other covered north of the Broad. The cost of growth, well, I think those studies were done by Clemson. And I don't remember the exact numbers that they calculated the cost of growth to be, but it was over $1 billion for each one. And in that study, they did not count maintenance. For example, if you build this many schools, now you got to hire teachers, now you got to maintain them. So it was a real bare bones. It was very expensive, and that helped stop the zoning wars, where everybody was grabbing everybody else's land. We know exactly what happens when we take land that is zoned a certain way for a very specific reason for a culture, and we let a crowd in. And I'll tell you quickly what that is. The people in St. Helena, as well as the people in Sheldon, got to watch what happened on Hilton Head. Yeah. And they got to see that, okay, now the taxes are too high, they can't keep their property. So we know exactly what happens when the camel's nose gets under the tent. I ask you to please respect the zoning of people who have lived there for generations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Queen Quet? Queen Quet, can you yeah.
Good afternoon, County Council members, and also all of the St. Helena Island family were there today. I'm glad if they're one more again and had this opportunity for speak. There's a little confusion in the back about the public comments, so I signed up twice, but I'm going to speak now, and if y'all don't call on me again later, I got my chance now. One of the things that why I signed twice is because there are 2 things that you're covering today on the agenda that I wanted to make sure that I was heard on. One of which are sacred burial areas on St. Helena Island. The Gullah Geechee Sea Island Coalition that I founded and Gullah Geechee Legacy are supporting the grant that we received this time. We wrote for it previously, we did not receive it, we received it this time here in Beaufort County to the tune of $75,000, but it needed match. So my organization is willing to match with $15,000 of in-kind service to help with the protection of our sacred burial areas, in particular those within the Cultural Protection Overlay District of St. Helena. One of the other things that I serve on is the South Atlantic Salt Marsh Initiative, where we are working with over 300 partners to maintain 1 million acres of salt marsh and ensure that there are other areas where this marsh will be able to migrate in the future. Marsh protects our seafood, it's a nursery. It also protects us as humans from the flooding because we have sea level rise issues here. And when we build golf courses near such areas, golf courses require chemicals to be created and to be maintained. That now allows, when it rains, for that to run off into the estuaries and not only kill the marsh, but also potentially kill seafood and other things that are there. This area is sacred, not just because we think for Nampon and things like that, where people come down here for Nampon, but because it feeds our souls. We have ancestral souls lying along the intercoastal waterway near these marsh areas in these sacred burial areas. That was where our ancestors lie at rest. That's where my father and others and my brother lie at rest. So it is of utmost concern for me that the Cultural Protection Overlay District be protected. And because this is a Natural Resources Committee meeting, I took the time this morning to actually write a paper to help you to understand how this will impact our natural resources as well as our cultural resources. Because in 3 years' time, I woke this morning and asked God, what else is there to say? And at this point yesterday, I wrote a blog. I'll send you that blog about our ancestors speaking from the grave to say protect St. Helena and keep the Cultural Protection Overlay District intact. But this morning, God said do what you do around the world. And that is show people how our culture is inextricably tied to the environment of St. Helena. So I call upon you to continue to protect the CPO intact, no carve-outs, and no negotiations on keeping it protected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jermaine S.S. Simmons. Jermaine S. Simmons. Did I say that right? I bet not go with names. Okay. Oh, AJ. Oh, that's AJ. I'm sorry.
Greetings,
Oh,
greetings,
JJ.
everyone. Greetings, everyone. I am Jermaine Simmons. I'm a daughter of Benjamin Cornbread Simmons, Forstein Simmons. I trace my generation, my lineage, back to the 16th century, where my people were here. My bloodline was here. Matriarchal, patriarchal. I am here, and I matter. What my people are going through matters. I feel to myself, this island that we call rural is not going to be able to call rural no more. There is people coming from other places buying property unseen. I watched the places where we grew up, run around, play bow and arrows and make our own and get bull grapes and all this stuff. There's no more of that. You have to wait 45 minutes to an hour just to go home. You have to wait for everything. All the rules are changing. All the things, the disaster of a heritage. All my life, all my days, I've seen these things. I don't understand, how can you call it a rural place when it's inundated with people that don't know nothing about our culture, that don't know nothing about us. All they know is we can get enough people to sign here and enough people here and make rules to change the heirs' property, or where only one person got to be notified or to sign, or whatever rules they got coming up. I know it's hurting. I know it's hurting because the way I raised up, my kids can't raise up like that. They don't have the freedom that they had when I was growing up. I love this culture. I love my people. And when my people and everybody else people come together, that's not harmonious. It's not. It's not. It's ruining what we had. It's ruining who we are when all of our stuff got to change. Oh, you can't drive on this side because, or you can come on through because it doesn't matter to y'all that this something is important for us. This heritage is important to us. We had to move the Gullah Festival all the way around. We don't promote the things that are for us. We don't have anything for our kids. Nothing. No movie theaters, no play place, no nothing for our youth. And this is who's going to take over your jobs. They're going to take over your jobs. And if they got the mindset of the people that's come ya and not the mindset of the people that been ya, there's a problem. There's a problem. And you wonder what's going on with the crime because there's nothing for them. We got to go all the way to Popo Hilton Head. I feel sorry for Hilton Head. I feel sorry for them. You know why? Because they were where we were. And now look at it. They don't got no rights to their own property. I love my people.
Thank you.
And I want them to be the way they were.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Craig Lawton.
The next person, last person is Craig Lawton. Craig Lawton. Oh, okay.
Thank you for the opportunity. Alexandra and I bought a home in 2020, bought a lot in Coffin Point in 2020 and built a home. Let me try again. I mean, you must have to eat this thing. Alexandra and I bought a lot in Coffin Point on St. Helena Island in 2020 and built a home. we did our homework, and we actually went to the Penn Center and had a conversation to understand the CPO and how St. Helena Highland worked before we purchased here. And what we were looking for, and I think what a lot of people that maybe are in our situation were looking for, was a peaceful, quiet beach, a place where we could have our friends come and enjoy the culture of St. Helena Island, and Fort Fremont and the Penn Center, and there are so many wonderful things that we get to take advantage of by living here. And I'm a little surprised that I'm up here today, because the cultural protection overlay was put in place for exactly the conversation that we're having today, to prevent the development within the geography that was carved out. And I don't understand what has changed that would cause us to want to revisit the geography of the CPO. And maybe there's something I haven't figured out yet, and I think as the council deliberates this and tries to think this through, I would ask them to really think hard about what's different, what has changed, what would be the driving force that would cause us to want to make a different decision today than was made when the CPO was put in place. That's really all I have to say. I hope that you will give the kind of consideration that I think you will, and understand that I think there's a wide group of diversity now on St. Helen, which wasn't always the case. And everybody I talk to is quite excited about the CPO and excited about the lifestyle and things that it brings to the people that are owners in this area. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move the agenda, I'd like to call up Andy Gowder to come forth.
Who's that?
Andy. An attorney. And I don't like too many attorneys. Mr. Gowder is just that, but I know that he's probably costs a lot of money, so that's why I'm asking him to come here and now to speak instead of waiting until the end. So
Chair Glover,
you're the
I
last
appreciate
one.
that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Council members, good afternoon. My name is Andy Gowder. I represent the Open Land Trust and appear today to express their opposition to the zoning amendment being requested to facilitate the county's entry into a development agreement to develop a golf course community on Pine Island. The proposed Pine Island development agreement fails to meet the statutory requirements for development agreements under South Carolina law and violates Beaufort County's cultural protection overlay. The rezoning in the agreement should be rejected, as it, one, includes uses explicitly prohibited by the CPO, two, fails to demonstrate consistency with the comprehensive plan and development regulations as required by state law, and three, represents an impermissible attempt to circumvent validly enacted zoning protections through contract. First point, the agreement violates the state law's requirement for consistency with development regulations. South Carolina law unequivocally requires that a development agreement and authorized development must be consistent with the local government's comprehensive plan and land development regulations. The CPO constitutes a valid land development regulation that explicitly prohibits golf courses on St. Helena Island. The attempted simultaneously removal of the property from the CPO zone does not cure this fundamental inconsistency. At the time of the agreement consideration, the CPO remains the applicable development regulation, and the agreement and the attempted rezoning connected to it fails the statutory consistency requirement. This also sets a negative precedent because, as the previous speaker mentioned, what's the cultural protection overlay? What's a comprehensive plan for? And if it can be set aside every time an applicant comes to council, then what's the use of having a comprehensive plan? What's the use of having a zoning ordinance? Secondly, the proposed zoning change threatens the validity of the CPO as a whole. The CPO was enacted following extensive study, including the National Park Service's Low Country Gullah Culture Special Resource Study, which the county fully incorporated into its ordinance by reference. The ordinance specifically identifies golf courses as incompatible uses that threaten Gullah Geechee culture and the rural nature of St. Helena Island. The county should not change its area zoning, the CPO, that has been so carefully adopted over time after broad public participation and approval by the residents to accommodate the latest application of one property owner for their gain. The Open Land Trust respectfully requests you deny the zoning request and decline to enter into the development agreement. Thank you, council members. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We're going to move the agenda at this time. And next on the agenda is item number 7, the county administrator report. That's you?
Hi, no, that's not me.
Oh.
But with Chuck being behind the seats, he asked me to go ahead and come up and just introduce the item that I'm going to talk about for the ACA report for today.
Oh.
It's Chuck's item, but I'm giving a presentation.
Oh, I like looking at you better.
Thank you.
Please go
I
ahead.
will take a compliment where I can get it.
Go ahead.
Yes. So today I'm presenting a GIS map that is on the county's online site. And it's been a work in progress for about the last year, working with the Nature Conservancy, the Open Land Trust, our GIS department, our Planning and Zoning department. And what we've done is put together all of the conservation lands in the county into one location so everybody can view it. And I was going to walk us through online how to get to the map and show you what it is and what it looks like and all the information that's available there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, this one? Okay, so here we go. So on the Beaufort County's website under BeaufortCountySC.gov, you end up with this page, the home page. If you go to online services and then the GIS mapping, it's going to take you to the county's online GIS mapping site. And if nobody has used this before, it is quite a wealth of information about parcels, municipal boundaries. How do I move? Can I just move that? Okay. All kinds of different stuff on this website with the different layers just from the main page. But if you go to this little globe icon where it says other web maps, and you click on that, it gives you other areas that you can look at. So City of Beaufort zoning map is on here, the county zoning map, which gives you information about your different zonings on your properties. Elevation map also has contours, but today I'm going to talk about this map right here, the natural resources map. So when you click on that, it's going to bring up a new map of just those resources related to conservation or use of the natural resources within Beaufort County. So the initial legend here just shows you the county boundary. Marine access points, we have several different fishing bluffs, boat landings, piers, and public access points that are within the county and maintained and managed by county. We also have scenic roads, and then we have these other two here, the lands privately held and lands publicly held. The lands privately held are those conservation easements or other privately protected conservation lands that were acquired through the Rural and Critical Program, which are in pink, or the Green Space Program, which are in yellow. So as everybody knows, Beaufort County's been working for land conservation since about the year 2000 with acquisitions towards the Rural and Critical Program. And then now that the Rural and Critical Program funding is being completed, the Green Space Program picked up and has $100 million to go towards purchases of land, and Mr. McShane has presented several of those here. You also have lands publicly held, which is another separate file of those lands that are owned or co-owned by Beaufort County. And those are also through the rural and critical or green space. And they are separated as open access, which are open to the public, restricted access, which are just a handful of them, but those are ones where you have to have an appointment or some kind of, for instance, one of the properties, the Port Royal Sound Foundation co-owns with us, is a restricted access property because you have to go with them. Or there's properties that are closed. There's a number of closed properties for various reasons. We also have, if you click over here on this layers list, additional layers within this map. If it comes up. Sorry. So some additional layers once this comes up is the coordination with the Open Land Trust and the Nature Conservancy. The Open Land Trust layer on this list has all of the properties that they either own or manage conservation easements on. And then the Nature Conservancy manages conservation lands throughout the entire state. So Beaufort County ourselves, we mainly focus on Beaufort County or immediately nearby counties. The Open Land Trust does have a 5-county region, and then of course TNC looks at properties all over the state. So if you come to this, you'll see several other things on this, including road classifications. If you zoom in close enough, you'll be able to see specific parcel lines and soils data. But down here, the Open Land Trust portfolio and the SC conserved lands is from the Nature Conservancy. So when these are opened, you can see the multitude of properties within the county, adjacent to the county, and then across the state. As you zoom in and out, you can see all the different types of properties that are purchased or that are conserved. So the Open Land Trust properties are either under conservation easement or owned by Open Land Trust. And then the information from TNC shows whether it's either a privately held property, state, federal, local government, or some other managed lands. And here, those other managed lands are places like the Department of Defense, Marine Base, and such. Now, if you wanted to get some additional information about these properties, you can click on them. So like I'm going over here to this green polygon, and you can click on that polygon and it'll pull up the information specifically for that property. So that green polygon is Widgeon Point. It is open to the public. It is owned by Beaufort County and the Open Land Trust. And then it gives you the parcel number, and then it also tells you whether it's developed or undeveloped. So Widgeon Point is a developed park. And then the more information link takes you to an additional website. So if it's an Open Land Trust property, it'll go to the Open Land Trust site. If it's one of our what we call passive park or preserve properties, it'll go to the Land Preservation Department website or to the Green Space website. For instance, the large yellow property there is that Gregory Neck parcel that was recently acquired through the Green Space program. And so there's just a little bit of information about that. So we were really excited to be able to get all of these layers together in one place so that the public has an easy access and be able to find these properties and see where they all are and how everything connects together.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have questions of Stephanie?
Quick make a comment. As usual, Stephanie. Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'll just make a comment, Stephanie, that I was able to, I don't know, looked up or whatever, got on the site and I saw Widgeon Point that is open, and I think you're using a contractor right now to advertise our parks. No?
No.
Okay. Anyway, I thought I read it that way and stuff, but may have been reading it wrong. But I was just elated to see a gentleman in a wheelchair going through our parks. So
yes.
And it wasn't a concrete. So you got parks open for the handicap as well as anybody else who wants to walk the trail. So I just want to commend you for that. Thank you. We're moving the agenda at this time. We're on item number 8, and item A is to approve approval to fund due diligence and negotiate terms of acquisition for the following proposed green space program applications: the Turner track, the Campbell track, and the Simmons track. And the chair will entertain a motion to put that on the floor for discussion.
I'll make the motion.
Mrs. Tabernack made the motion, Mr. Dawson, and she seconded.
Yes.
Okay. At this time, we'll call on Mr. McShane and Mark to make their presentation on that.
You gotta navigate.
Well, good afternoon. I seem to find green space programs seem to be popular today. I appreciate the attendance. My name is Mike McShane. I'm a resident of Charleston County, but I have the privilege of serving as your Green Space Advisory Committee Chairman. And Mr. Chairman, with permission, I would like to just show Green Space just developed its own website. It is here, it is live, it is Beaufort County GreenSpaceProgram.com. So it's not .gov, it's .com. And if you would, if you'll scroll down for me, it's a nice highlight right there. You'll see the different areas that we, through your ordinance, were to focus on the conservation easement, purchase of lands, which you have done, farmland preservation, which we have done one, natural and scenic corridor, which I have one that I'll bring to you today. And then one we've not done yet is the existing planned unit development buy downs, but we have that latitude in that. Yeah. That website, I invite everyone who's interested in it. It'll be kept dynamic there for just like the spreadsheet that we'll send out on a regular basis. This will show where we are on that. So I just want to highlight and thank and applaud your staff who really put this together on that. So it's good work on their end to do so. Mr. Chairman, on the item 8A, there are the 3 tracks that you mentioned. The Turner track is on St. Helena Island. It's a 128-acre tract. I think we have a map that we could just show as I go through each one of those. Thank you. This is a conservation easement. What we're asking for on this track, which will follow for the next 2 as well, is the initial request for due diligence. This comes as a recommendation from your Green Space Committee to spend up to $25,000 to work with the applicant on coming back with a final recommendation at some point here in the future on that particular project. Are there any questions that might be specific to that project, sir?
Mr. McShane, for people who may not be familiar with the image, could you give them just a brief idea of where we're talking about geographically?
Yes, and I'm going to have to refer just because I
sure
make sure but off Seaside Road, over not far from Station Creek, as I believe is what I recall it always being called, is this 128 acres. This will be privately held, but with an easement held by Open Land Trust. And what you see around it, the green hash mark properties, other properties that are already under privately owned, but under conservation protection at this point. And what you're creating is sort of this continuous synergy of having a neighborhood of conservation in that vicinity. And I appreciate the fact that the Vice Chairman of Green Space has made that observation earlier. So,
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. McShane, I would just comment that when I took the county administrator around St. Helena, when he got to that area, he said it's so peaceful here. Just want to make that comment. Go ahead.
Peaceful. Okay. The next track is the Campbell track. This is in northern Beaufort County, and you're familiar with the intersection of Trask Parkway, Highway 21 and 17. And we have historically referred to that as the flyover of 21 and 17. And I'll point out that many years ago, and when I served on the DNR board, we were in negotiations with DOT about that whole intersection. And the plan originally was to have a traffic light. And to great credit to DOT and their engineering firm at our request, they figured out a way to do it to where it preserved all of those live oak trees that you really see right there And to me, and admit and disclose that I'm interested in properties in and around that area, was that's the entrance into Beaufort. You're right there on the edge of the Ace Basin, your entrance there. And so I think that's always sort of been incumbent iconic, and frankly, a model that other counties have looked to as they look at road development. Is the ability where you do not have to necessarily always do the classic intersection with a light and take all the live oaks, et cetera, in that area down. So it's become a signature of Beaufort County in that area, to really great credit to both the county and the state for doing that. And this would protect the about 30, almost a little over 35 acres right there under our corridor protection. I mentioned earlier that it's one of the categories that we look for. So this would be the first one that would be under the corridor protection there. Again, it would be privately held, but it would be with the right easement on top of that. Okay. And Mr. Chairman, the third one.
Mr. McShane, before you go to the third one,
Yes, sir.
I just want to say to you, I appreciate you and your committee efforts of preserving that space of property there, which is in close proximity to the wetlands that leads out into the what river is that? What river is that? Pocatello?
Pocatello.
Yeah, okay. And so having preserved that now, we don't have to worry about any growth and development in that particular area, right off Highway 17 and 21, running off into the waterways.
You're correct, Mr. Dawson, because really that would be the only desirable place to do development at that intersection would be where this is. And so we've now taken that off. We're in the process of working with the private landowner. Remembering this is working with the willing landowner on a voluntary basis to negotiate this outcome. And this is what we present for consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think it's great you have one up in the north, because we've been talking about a lot in the south.
And we
were
continue,
concerned.
we'll be talking about the south.
I know it's
here
coming,
soon.
but I'm just saying it's nice to see north and east, so I'm glad to see these come forward.
The committee has been very focused on, and frankly, even though we don't necessarily script how applications come in, but it is worked well with our partners about trying to keep an equitable consideration of the 4 regions within the county.
And the south is next.
Yeah. Yes. And so then we go to the third track for consideration of due diligence, and this is on Hilton Head. And I compliment the town of Hilton Head for on the 9.5 acres that they're going to partner with Green Space on the purchase of this conservation easement on this. In this track, the value of this track is, one, its unique size and its location on waterfront, where the family really wants to just keep it from being developed in the future. And so even though it'll be privately held under a conservation easement, there's the public benefit of the fact that you're not going to see this almost 10 acres get clearly could be fractionalized and become higher density at some point there. So, and it's a good bargain. And the fact that the town of Hilton Head, which I'd freely admit has not had in early days was my biggest wrestling match with Green Space, has become a really very collaborative partner with us on that. So, Mr. Chairman, if it's your like that we would, the recommendation from Green Space is to approve these 3 tracks for due diligence to come back to this committee with a recommendation in the future.
Thank you. And let me yield to Mr. McKellen first, because he's not chairing, but he's a member of that committee, so.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. McShane, for making your presentation. I'd like to move that we fund the amount that was been requested for due diligence and to negotiate terms of acquisitions for the projects as described by Mr. McShane.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, that's proper. Motion is on the floor. Can we do this without any objection?
Yes.
We hope so.
Okay. I don't see any objections, so it passes. Thank you. Yes, sir. Oh, okay. You still up, Mr.
I am still here, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Keep going.
I'm going to be here for a little while.
Yes, sir. Not too long, though, but go ahead.
I've still got two really exciting ones up here.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. You want to get started and we'll put a motion on, or,
Yes, I'll make the motion for item 8B.
I'll second.
okay. Now for discussion, Mr.
Chairman,
Shane.
thank you.
Yes.
This is a project that we came before and we're obviously granted due diligence. We're coming back with a recommendation to proceed for you as a committee to recommend to council later this month to proceed with authorizing funds from Green Space for the acquisition of 2 tracts. And I want to be real clear because there's sometimes it gets a little confusion because of some common names.
Yes.
We're talking about parcel 5A and parcel 5B. This has nothing to do with a coincidental common road called 5B. It has nothing to do with that. This is working with the town of Bluffton. Felicia Roth is here. I got to compliment the town of Bluffton. Has really been collaborative as a partner. They've moved forward on doing with our due diligence. They've been very artful in their negotiations. I'm pleased to say, and I think, Felicia, with your permission, that we can talk about sort of phase 2 will come.
Yes, sir.
So if you see on this map, you see there's a track, Mr. Chairman, that's in between 5A, parcel 5A and parcel 5B.
Right.
That's 55 acres. We're going to call that simply parcel 5C.
Okay.
The owners of parcel 5C have agreed and the town has contracted to acquire that. We'll come forward as a secondary independent project of this, thank you, of that. But when you look at the 2, so there'll be a total of 2 projects. When you look at the whole of the 2, we're now 200 and nearly 209.
Yeah, it's 240 here, but with the 3.
With the 3, it's going to be just under 300 acres
Okay.
total that will be under, with the right grant restrictions, collaboration from our South Carolina Parks and Recreation and Tourism Agency in collaboration with the town about how to implement the best strategy to take this into the public trust as a park. And to be clear, it does not prohibit future road work but I think it takes off the table why there would even be a need
Considering.
for any road work. It certainly eliminates the possibility of any residential or type of commercial development on that would be the total of the 3. So the importance was that not only get the parcel 5A and 5B, is the secondary part, which will come forward fairly rapidly, will be parcel 5C. Then you have this continuum connection through that will eliminate all of that potential development on that.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The 5C?
Yes, ma'am.
It's owned by who? Is that the Foothills?
There's a collection, no ma'am.
Oh, no?
If parcel 5A and parcel 5B were owned by the Foothills Conservancy.
Right.
I think that's how the name,
Right,
correct?
okay.
Parcel
5C.
5C was held by a consortium of member individuals there, and if I may, Mr. Chairman, this was handed to me, just
Oh.
maybe to pass, you can kind of see what 5C.
You want that back?
how
Okay.
it connects
You can
in
pass
there.
that
Okay.
down.
Oh,
I don't know if we have one to share
Okay.
on the
Yeah.
screen.
And what's, Mr. McShane, and what's going to happen to the 5C? I'm not
We will
clear.
be coming back forward with a similar request.
Oh, okay.
To help the town.
All right.
But the town was so committed, they've already gone to contract with the owners of that. Yes. And so they'll be doing, so we'll be looking to quickly come back to support them on the actual acquisition of all 3 tracks. The request tonight is to bring a recommendation to full council for the acquisition, the release of the money from Green Space for the town's acquisition of parcels 5A and 5B. To be clear, we'll come back through a second process to request funding for parcel 5C.
Any question? No?
Thank
Okay.
you for doing this.
If this would never have happened had Green Space not existed.
Right, I know.
Correct.
Yeah.
Think about it.
I know.
Had Beaufort County not implemented a green space program, there would not even be this conversation about trying to preserve nearly 300 acres in the town of Bluffton. They would have had difficulty trying to do this on their own.
Yeah. Okay. There's a motion already on the floor, right?
Correct.
If there's no objection, we'll approve this motion without any objection. Seeing
Chairman,
none.
did that motion include the amount of the $2,143,678?
Yes.
Is the author of the motion? Yes, he
Okay,
said yes.
good.
Okay.
Making sure.
Yes, sir. Okay, it's been approved. And we down to number C?
Still here, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, yes, sir.
You're not
There's
going anywhere,
a resolution, go ahead.
I was going to make this
Go ahead.
motion for this resolution for the Buckfield tracks in an amount not to exceed $7 million. And just as a note, what's on here is not what's in here. So the 7 million is accurate.
Okay,
Very good.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Howard is seconded.
I don't know
Right,
why
so-
it's different.
The Buckfield tract, this is northern Beaufort County. This is really at the tri-county area of Hampton, Jasper, and Beaufort counties. We're talking simply about Beaufort County side. Owned by an individual. Conservation started to try to negotiate with the owner in 2015. I was part of those negotiations in my capacity on the DNR board. In 10 years, we came to where we finally have an agreement to acquire the properties. This will ultimately go to the Forestry Commission to be managed as a state forest, which will produce public access recreational use under their State Forestry Commission's plan. Had Greenbelt not existed, we would not have this deal. Because tomorrow I'll be at the State Conservation Bank where we'll be making a similar grant application to the state. You are the dominant player of this tract in the Beaufort County side. But by doing so, enabled not only the whole deal, but that includes later phases in Jasper and Hampton counties. The Delta is a EPA grant that the State Forestry Commission has. They have it, that grant's in hand. So we have high confidence that this then will transition really rapidly to the State Forestry Commission and become that plays an economic development role. Despite the news here, which is still alarming, that mills have shut down, we still have areas where the state still wants to demonstrate good forestry practices on that. It plays a role in resilience. It plays a role in recreational use. This is still a very fine move, and it would not have occurred had it not been for green space. I was there on day one. I know this owner as others do, and we would not be at the table today had it not been for green space.
Okay. Ms. McGowan, you have any comments?
To me, this is transformative of what occurred in that area of northern Beaufort County.
Yeah, just one comment. This is another perfect example of the regional approach where there's more than one county involved in it. We're providing the lead, but we're bringing in Jasper and Hampton, I think it is. And it's a little unusual to reach outside of where we are to get involved in going over the border with our own funding. But that was the purpose of the Green Space program, was to ensure we protected the outlying areas that affected development here. And a lot of what we're doing there has to do with protecting the headwaters of some of the rivers that are feeding into our county. So reaching across the border, while unusual, is a very good thing for us. And other of the 45 counties in the state are looking at that as something they would like to mirror because of the success we've had under Chairman McShane's leadership. So this has worked out very well for us, even though we tend to be crossing the border. It's still a good crossing for us to achieve the goals of the program.
So this project, to be clear, we're asking, the recommendation is to fund $7 million, as the Vice Chairman pointed out, toward the overall acquisition of the 1,658 or so acres on that. The state will play a role and the feds will play a role. That then transitions ownership will go from Open Space Institute, which has been one of our larger national partners, just like the Nature Conservancy did recently on a track of great interest, and then transition ownership to the state through the State Forestry Commission.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. McShane, again, I mirror my colleagues' thoughts in thanking you. How has this success helped you leverage money? I go back to something you've said to us every time, and I hope you bring it up now. To bring in more money to get more property to protect. Help us with that.
Our success generally is based on the fact that we, so right now, speaking of green space, Beaufort County, seeds funding that makes it very attractive for the state to then put in, and I know somebody at the state. Then you then look at them when we go to the feds, they look at that as that's a great investment because they're leveraging their own dollars into that. I don't want to say too much because I don't want our friends in Georgia and North Carolina understanding how we do it because they hadn't figured it out yet. And I don't want to give them help on figuring it out yet.
All right. I apologize for that.
But no. But your point is, and on this track, everything we're putting in here is in Beaufort County. But what that enables is the fact the state now will come in, the feds will come in, which will help on the Hampton-Jasper side. And when you look at the overall project, it is all three counties are going to have a participation on this.
It's incredible.
If I might, Mike,
Yes.
I commend you on actually acquiring these properties for conservation, preservation, and even to the point where it's going to include public access for recreation. I'm a big proponent of not only preservation, but public access also. So I commend you.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. There's a balance between public access and public benefit, and what we try to do, there are times you want full public access, therefore it's really going to require fee simple ownership. There are times you don't want to own it all. I promise you, of owning land, you don't want the operating expense to go through. Stephanie knows all too well the operating expense. So, but we balance that. We balance that because when this is acquired, and you look at the private lands that are surrounded, that are protected, you now have an entire ecosystem that plays into the role of managing all that water that typically flows down. And if you were around there this weekend, you would have seen a lot of that. And then not to mention the fact you just produced a wildlife corridor, which I still think is something very important to the citizens of Beaufort County. I think you've shown that time after time about the value of what wildlife mean, not just from a recreational standpoint, but really part of our whole culture in this community on that. And so we're really at a point between this, Gregory Neck, Chelsea, projects like that we're going to connect the Savannah River to the Ace Basin. That'll be one of the most unique features of any part of the state, frankly, any part of the entire southeastern part of the country, to have that type of collaborative conservation.
I agree.
Chairman, I just have one off-topic question. Mr. McShane, I don't mean to trick you with the question, but since we have a lot of people here and we're talking about the success, I'm wondering if you can say approximately how much density you have prevented from occurring with regard to rooftops by all of the property we have purchased or given easements to, and what we intend to do in the future. And Mark, maybe you have an answer for that. I don't know.
I can help, but I'd be more than happy to put something together.
Remind me what the zoning is in that part of the county.
3 units to the acre.
Right. So 1,600 units, 1,600 acres. Not all of it clearly would, but even if you just accepted, let's say over half of it at 3 units to the acre, the math very quickly adds up. I think the interest is an example of another project is Chelsea, Jasper County, but that could have been 4,000 units, 4,000 units.
Easily.
That all would jump in right there at 462 and 170.
Yeah.
And you, as a county, would be the one having to cover the infrastructure and all of that.
That's true.
This is truly an adage that maybe gets used a little as smart growth, but this is really smart conservation. Because you're helping direct it in areas that really have benefits beyond just the fact they're not rooftops. You're putting money in areas it really can absorb a lot of the differences that are occurring in our weather, our climate, sea level rises, all of those that are taken into consideration from a land management standpoint. You also, I think there's an element here that people enjoy the outdoor aspect. That's a big part of our lifestyle in this part of the world. And you're now allowing and ensuring that they has access to that. So some of it had been privately owned and didn't allow any public access, but you get to other tracks like this one will now have the public be able to do that. And you create its own economy by having people go up in that area and spend some time there. Your trail system is really kind of magnificent. And regrettably, my home county really hasn't built that kind of trail system like you have here, and people flock to it. The waterways is an example or something else. Our growth and recreational use of the waterways continues to outpace the rest of the country.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comment? Ms. Machine, we just want to thank you for, we're going to take this motion and move it forward. Let me do that first. Can I do this without any objection?
Yes.
Yes.
Seeing no objection, this motion passes. You know, you brought to us two parcels I love, really. I mean, I love them all, but because it's connected to the Forestry Commission, that opens those two parcels, one on the south side, one on the north side. So the public will have access to that in the future. And I think I want to say that yesterday I had a chance to take my wife in the Donnelly
The Donnelly Wildlife Management Area.
Wildlife management
Yeah,
area and stuff.
yeah.
We were looking for alligators. We didn't see any.
Come to Sun City, I'll show you some.
Well, they're political alligators and they're real alligators.
Oh, my.
Yeah. But it was a beautiful piece of property and stuff. Yeah. The only problem was navigating, driving when a car is coming and you're trying to get by a small narrow road. But we managed it. But yeah.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just very quickly, you just, the Donnelly Wildlife Management Area was a great example that sort of initiated in 1989 the concept that we could have an ecosystem like the ACE Basin. ACE, of course, being the acronym for the three rivers.
Yes.
The Ashtaboo, Combahee, and the Edison. As someone said the other day, it's not a Sheepoo, it's not Combahee, it's not a Disco.
What? What did you say?
Say it again.
You had to have been around a while.
Oh, yeah.
That then really created a priority amongst private landowners to do what we want to do on a voluntary, willing basis to negotiate a conservation outcome. Many of them were fully donated. That became a model that really doesn't exist anywhere else, at least on the Atlantic seaboard. And by doing so, it's now what I think in the 35 years of that, to think about those who commute from here up to Charleston, to those who live or work in those areas or really use it for recreational purposes. The benefit of what's occurred there to now see closing in on 400,000 acres in the ACE Basin under protection, and most of that is privately held. Most lands are privately held. And to see landowners willingly do this benefits us all, and I think from a lot of different reasons. Some are easy to measure, others are a little more complicated to measure, but there are benefits to that. So from an air quality standpoint, to water quality and water quantity issues. And this county took that lead in, what year did Rural and Critical Lands, 2000? 2002. So in your 20 plus years, you've sort of taken the lead. You dated exactly when the state then modeled the State Conservation Bank that was still a few years behind that. For just 20 years at the state. And the state just put record funding into the Conservation Bank because the state, and I will share with council, the spreadsheet, which you can't necessarily see other than a lot of lines, has 48 projects that the state bank is going to be looking at tomorrow. 48 projects. Some of them are joint projects. but it's across the state that we're seeing this, that's really compelling for the state of South Carolina and the citizens that support this. And you would think that it would be maybe one side of the political realm versus the other. It's not. This is universally accepted as a good
practice
policy.
Yeah.
Is to invest in conservation. And your county leads in that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure seeing you. We're going to move to item D, and this is a discussion of declaring the Corners community on St. Helena Island. Is that going to be led by Rob, or is it Kristen? Rob? Okay. Okay. And this is some work that I would tell you that the CPO has been working on for several years and stuff, but go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I think you could probably speak to this better than I can, but part of this comes from our work on the island of St. Helena, both in the Corners community and with the Cultural Protection Overlay District community. One of the things I learned very early on, actually when I first moved here, and we used to have a historic preservation planner, Ian Hill, that the term Frogmore, South Carolina, is actually a misnomer. It's something that dates back to the original mail delivery on St. Helena Island was sent to an area of the island called Frogmore, but that area is actually on Seaside Road, not in the intersection of 21 and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. So the idea is that this community kind of assumed a name because of mail delivery and where the post office was established on the island, and it's kind of stuck with the community. But many people who've lived on the island, they know that that is not where the true Frogmore community is located. And so this request came from the Cultural Protection Overlay District Committee to have a proclamation that would basically clarify that it is not Frogmore, but the Corners community. And so in this proclamation, there is a map that defines the area. And so that's kind of a real quick, I guess, elevator pitch explanation. And I know that there are people in the community that can go in much greater detail in some of the, the history and post offices in different locations of how this happened. But I think that there's an interest in the community to clarify what the real name of the Corners community is.
Sure. And if I may, I would like to call on Queen Quet to come to add to what Mr. Merchant has just said. Queen Quet has chaired that committee, and the committee is making a strong recommendation. I think it was unanimous yes. At the time. So just clarify the Corners community and the issue centered around the Corners community. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely, sir. I chaired not only the inaugural CPO, but also the initial Corners Community Preservation District, where we had a public market district, yes. And now I chair the CPO again. So I think I know a little bit about this show. And also, my family did from Frogmore, for true. So, because I'm actually from Frogmore on Seaside Road, all of us who are natives to that section of St. Helena Island have always been annoyed to see our Frogmore frog on T-shirts and planes and everything else at the Ladies Island Airport. Okay? We were like, your plane need to land over here on Seaside. That's Frogmore. That's not Frogmore. So this has been an ongoing thing for years. Many people who are from St. Helena, our original post office that is now part of what is the restaurant that is Foolish Frog, which is very foolish because it's where sea level rise is at. There was a frog. We called him Smiley. Periodically, the headline of the news was Smiley is missing. Who has Smiley? And so then people would do pranks. Eventually, he'd come back. And so we loved the frog. So we all loved the Frogmore frogs. And I did research many years ago because I was curious. Because I was told as a child, when I would always ask questions, why is it Frogmore? They would say, because of the frogs. And I said, that cannot be the only reason. There got to be something else. So the research was done, and sure enough, come to find out, it came from a gentleman from England. He is from a hamlet called Frogmore, which I've gone to visit in England because I'm from Frogmore. I wanted to see their Frogmore. And so people started to keep saying, though, but I thought it was over here. I've driven through Frogmore. I said, were you on Seaside Road? They say, no. I said, you on 21? Yes. I said, so you didn't drive through Frogmore. So you drove through the Corners community. And we thought that the delineation by the county saying we had the Corners Community Preservation District was going to be sufficient. Obviously not, because people tend to love our frog. But we want our frog to hop in the real Frogmore on Seaside. And we want people at the Corners District to come support the businesses. That's our economic center. It always has been. It is the corners of where you connect Fuller Plantation, all right, Indian Hill. They connect there, and then you start to proceed down to where the Penn Center National Landmark Historic District is after the Causeway, where Ebenezer is. So we wanted people to be very clear. So we thought, well, one more level up. If we come to the county and have a resolution or a proclamation done officially on the record, we would hope that this would now help clarify for people who to come here, the one who been here don't know. And also, at some point in time, hopefully there would be signage that says, welcome to the Corners District. And bye, y'all, or thanks for coming to the Corners District, whatever, so that people would know when they come in and out of it. But if you look on the highway, when we worked on Highway 21 to prevent it from being widened to 5 lanes, we actually had them put a sandy area there. It looks like sand. That was intentional to demarcate when you enter that Corners Community District. And so now we want to go one more level. And so since several of my CPO members were very upset, I didn't want their blood pressure to go any higher. I'm glad that we all unanimously voted on the resolution and that you're hearing it today. So we pray that you all will go ahead and officially pass it for the record. Okay. And I think Frogmore appreciate that too. Thank you.
I have a question, Queen Quill.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question. Frogmore stew, is that where it originated as well?
You got it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So Frogmore stew, which does not have frogs in it, all right, unless y'all cooking it wrong.
Yeah.
Frogmore stew originated in Frogmore, South Carolina, on St. Helena Island. If it tea from we, and then other rest of people will call them Low Country boil because it's spread out throughout the Low Country.
Okay.
Now I'm being told it's called something else. Some restaurant chain, somebody just told me the other day, named it something else now. I wasn't going to name their name. I knew what it was. I wasn't trying to give them a plug. But yes, Frogmore is where that dish originated, and it is Frogmore stew.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any question, comments?
No.
Can I need to entertain a motion to pass this resolution to council.
I'll motion that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for the presentation.
There's no action required.
Oh, no action?
None?
Oh.
Discussion, and there will be a proclamation presented at the next council.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
there's no need to move a motion. Thank you. Okay. Now, item E, there's a resolution authorizing the county administrator to accept a historical preservation grant award from the National Park Service, cemeteries, surveys, etc. The chair will entertain a motion to that effect, and we can get into discussion. Christian is already here to discuss.
So moved.
Oh, okay.
I'll second.
Seconded, okay. You got that, Sarah? Okay, go ahead, Kristen, yes.
All right, so, sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice. So we were rewarded $75,000 from the National Park Service to update this is the 1999 St. Helena Cemetery Survey. So $15,000 of in-kind administrative work will be done with me representing the county, and then the other $15,000 will be with Queen Quet in kind doing administrative work as well. It's pretty simple.
Simple, okay. Any question of
I have
Kristen?
some
I think,
questions, Mr.
yeah,
Chairman.
because she's been working on this for several years, trying to get a grant, but go ahead.
It says here that 15,000 in-kind administrative work.
Mhm.
What does that mean, in-kind?
They're giving it time and service.
Oh, okay, you're giving your time in service, What are you doing that on Beaufort County time or your time?
Yes, for county time.
On Beaufort County time?
Yes.
Yes.
It's,
She's doing the work
It's the
now
county's
anyway.
match. I
Yeah.
will just be representing the county with that match.
I had a comment.
Mhm.
I'm so glad you got this grant. This is so important to get these cemeteries
Nice.
delineated, and to do it properly. Thank you.
Any other question, comments?
Also.
Go ahead.
The cemeteries, does it also include the ones over on Defusky Island?
This one will just be for St. Helena, since we are updating the 1999 St. Helena cemetery survey.
Oh, okay, so can we eventually do one over on Defusky?
That could be something I look into
We can look
later
into
on,
it?
of course, yeah.
I'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, go ahead.
And just to be clear, the $15,000 in-kind match on Beaufort County time is only applied to Kristen. Queen Quet is her personal time. She's
Correct.
volunteering.
Yeah,
for
we
that.
understand that. She's volunteering her time.
Yeah. Now, I was under the impression that 25 was for St. Helena, specifically to deal with what has been done already during
Yeah, so
1999.
Yes, so whenever I talked to some consultants, I got an estimation of around 25,000 will be needed to update the cemetery survey, and then the rest of the 50,000 will be used to do some ground penetrating radar work to set some boundaries around those that are considered at-risk burial sites on St. Helena.
The 50, is that not for the entire county, or is it just for?
It's just for it's still just for St. Helena Island.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Can we discuss this at a later date? Can I discuss it with a later date with you as far as the Fusky Island cemeteries
yeah.
go? Because it's really important of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but it's very.
I would conclude that it's important all over Beaufort County.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
And-
No, I'm just
and-
saying.
And I would think that this
Since
would be
we're
the
doing it for St.
beginning of
Helena,
something
Can we do it for
bigger.
for
that-
Fusky as well? Okay.
Chairman, do we need any action on this?
Yes, yes, to receive the, right,
Oh, okay.
pass it up to county council, and receive the money and stuff.
We have, what I meant was, we have to vote to move it?
Yes, to council,
Right.
yes.
Yes.
I just wanted to answer Councilwoman Brown also.
Yeah.
Yes, that is very important. The
Yes.
Fusky and the other burial areas, especially the significant Gullah Geechee burial areas, are definitely important to us. And so our success with this will give us an opportunity to leverage this, to get other funds and to expand the work that we're doing. St. Helena is a starting point because the 1999 one was supposed to have been updated 20 years ago, almost. It's like, okay, it's like every time the ball would move and they said, we can't do it now, we can't do it now. So that's why we had to seek outside funding. We're just starting there. So I'd love to talk with you
Yeah,
more about
yeah,
that
absolutely.
because there are also some other folks that we're working with outside of South Carolina, in fact, who are interested in working on all the Gullah Geechee sacred burial areas. So they are willing to come in and also do some additional in-kind work in various areas we
Yeah, it's very
identify.
important to me.
So I definitely wanted
Because
to
of
just
my
put that
Gullah
on the
friends
record.
on Hilton Head.
Absolutely,
Yes,
yeah,
thank you.
absolutely. They're family to us, so
Okay,
trust me,
yes.
we ain't leaving them out.
Okay, all right.
Okay, can we approve this without any objection?
Someone Jenkins.
Okay, then it's approved without any objection. Thank you, ma'am. And Kristen, you got one more.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
So these two items are sort of related, and I just wanted, I think you've all met Kristen, but Kristen has been staffing the work of the Cultural Protection Overlay District, and obviously the issue of cemeteries has been very important on that island, and that's really what got this project started. But in exploring the opportunities for grants, we started working with the state, and we kind of learned some things about our own historic preservation ordinance that needed updated. So there is a relationship between these two, and so what Kristen will be presenting are updates to the historic preservation ordinance to make sure they meet state requirements for what is called a certified local community, which will make us eligible for more grant opportunities in the future, especially at the federal level. In addition, this includes standards for buffers and cemeteries which is something we currently don't have. And they apply both to cemeteries with very clearly established boundaries and then those with not clearly, with a little more leeway given to make sure that there's not encroachment. So there's a relationship between these two, but it's very important, and these changes that apply countywide, and I think will be very important for preserving the historic preservation.
Thank
So,
you. That's your introduction, Kristen.
The details.
You want to add a little more, or?
Yeah, so this is with the Certified Local Government Program that
Need
is
a
ran.
motion and second to do
I thought we
this?
put that on the table already. We didn't?
No.
Please do.
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Howard, and then, okay, Tom, yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is with the National Park Service. So currently, our historic ordinance does not meet the qualification standards of the program. So Beaufort County will need to establish its own local historic designation process. So this is basically all of that really obnoxious tiny work, all those things that you have to fill out through the process. A lot of this was done with Horry County, since they, I think, are the only county in the state that is a CLG. So a lot of it came from them. And then I also worked a lot with Brad Sauls with the state to make sure that we covered all of our bases with this. And then, like Rob said, in addition, we added an amendment that would enact a 25-foot and a 50-foot buffer around burial sites, dependent on if they have demarcation and boundaries.
Okay, do we need a motion to move this forward to full council?
I think we got the motion on the table. You made it, and Tom seconded. Any other discussion of her? I think she's done a lot of work. Yes, sir.
What is a COG?
Okay.
What is a COG?
And then Tom seconded.
You need to read those then?
A CLG?
Yeah, you mentioned COG. What is that?
Yeah, so that's a certified local government. It's something,
Gotcha.
got it?
I just didn't know what the acronym was.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
I need a clarification on the motion itself. So Mrs. Howard's going to state the
It's a
motion.
second motion, because the first motion was just to open up discussion. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So I move that we grant the request for the text amendment for the following reasons. It is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan. It is not in conflict with any provision of this development code or the code of ordinances. It is required by changed conditions. It does address a demonstrated community need. It is consistent with the purpose and intent of the zones in this development code, or would improve compatibility among uses and ensure efficient development within the county. It would result in a logical and orderly development pattern. It would not result in adverse impacts on the natural environment, including but not limited to water, air, noise, stormwater management, wildlife, vegetation, wetlands, and the other natural functionings of the environment.
And Tom, you second that?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Can we vote on this without any objection to move it forward? You did a lot of good work. Thank you. Okay. We down to item number G. Discussion of the deferral of the zoning map amendment application for 437 acres located on the Lama Road and St. Helenaville Road. And I would entertain a motion for the discussion.
So moved.
Larry?
I'll second.
Okay. Can we approve that without any objection?
Do you want to be in mixed state?
Yes, sir. I'm giving you that right now. Yes, sir.
Yes, the chair of this committee and the chair of council had asked that I come up to explain why the zoning map amendment was deferred from today's hearing, so the public would be aware of that. And let me just preface it by saying that on May 5th of this year, the Planning Commission entertained the zoning map amendment, and they voted 7-1 to deny, recommending denial to County Council. It was then scheduled to be heard at the June 2nd Natural Resources Committee, but a request came in from the applicant prior to that meeting.
Are you talking to the microphone so I can hear you?
And the director of the planning department granted that request to defer it for good cause. So when he granted that request to defer it, it was determined that it would be best to schedule it for today's hearing so that it would be able to be married up with the development agreement, and they would both be heard at this Natural Resources Committee meeting today was the plan. This summer, a motion was made by council, and council voted to approve changing that plan, and they decided they wanted the development agreement to be heard at the full county council. So that's why they didn't get married up at this September 2nd Natural Resources Committee. But then the plan became that we would still hear the zoning map amendment at the Natural Resources Committee, and then they would get married up on September 22nd at the first reading of each ordinance for the development agreement that was submitted and the zoning map amendment, and that would be the first hearing. And then if there was a requirement for a second hearing, if it's going to progress on, that would be October 27th. Last week, I think, or the week before, we received a request from the applicant again to defer the zoning map amendment so that it would not be heard by this committee prior to the public hearing the development agreement discussion. So he wanted the first reading of the zoning map amendment to be either with the development agreement or afterwards. He didn't want this to occur prior to the development agreement. The planning director denied that request. He didn't find that there was a good cause. It had already been deferred for 3 months, and he thought there was no harm in having it come forth. It was proper to come forth. The applicant renewed that request to the chair of county council. It was forwarded to the chair of this committee, and after a discussion, they decided that they would grant the deferral at the applicant's request after careful consideration, and thus the zoning map amendment will not be heard today. The first consideration of the zoning map amendment will be in front of full council at the county council meeting on September 22nd, along with the first public hearing of the development agreement. So that's the history. So September 22nd will be the first time that council considers the zoning map amendment and the development agreement. And we are currently in discussions regarding the development agreement with the applicant of the development agreement. And those discussions are progressing in the normal course. And I can't say that we'll have an agreement to present to council by then, but discussions have occurred and we are letting the process work. Any questions?
I have one question. I'd like to ask the chair why she moved the meeting from Buckwalter Rec Center to Burton Wells.
That's not germane to this discussion right now. We
Okay.
can ask that later.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You're referring to two different things here. Could you tell me if there's been any official action taken on either one of those things that we're considering here?
We're not considering here, but there has been official action taken on the development agreement in as much as county council voted to have the county attorney and our outside legal counsel enter discussions
Right.
with the applicant.
Right. And has the development agreement been voted on by any other body in Beaufort County?
No, sir. County council decided that they and they alone at this time would have the meetings and discussions related to the development agreement.
Okay.
They won't be referred to the committee, a council committee,
Okay.
or the planning commission.
What did the planning commission vote on?
They voted on the zoning map amendment
Okay.
ordinance, the application for zoning map amendment. That's what occurred on May 5th.
And what was the action taken there?
They voted to deny the zoning map amendment by 7-1 vote.
Okay. 7-1?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments to?
That's it for me.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We're moving the agenda at this time. We're down to the final item, number 9.
I'd still like
I'm
to,
sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I'd still like
sure.
to ask the chairman why she moved the meeting from Buckwalter to Burton Wells.
I'll be glad to answer that. I answered you an email too.
Well, I want you to
Councilman
say it
Brown.
to the public.
I will say it to the public. I was requested by Councilman Glover because we know there will be a lot of people at that meeting that live in northern Beaufort County. We've moved meetings to south. Remember the Hilton Head Bridge
Okay, you
meetings?
already said all that. But
Well,
I'm
no,
requesting,
you wanted me to say it to the public. In the past, we've moved meetings to southern Beaufort County, such as when we had discussions regarding the Hilton Head Bridge, to accommodate the public
Okay.
from Hilton Head,
Right.
since I've been chairman. Also, we've had other meetings. We will still have a meeting at Buckwalter at the next opportunity because we had said we wanted to do meetings all over the county. But it was my decision, based on his request, that we move it to Burton Wells. We could not get the sheriff's building, we could not get the courthouse, but that way people in northern Beaufort County who seem to have more interest in the Pine Island issue than people in southern Beaufort County, it would accommodate their interests to go to Burton Wells.
But you are doing a huge disservice to the districts 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
As I
Do
told
have
them,
a, do want to come to the
They can come to that
meeting?
meeting.
They can.
Yeah, and we also
can.
will have a meeting probably in October at their, in the Bluff.
But it's two public hearings. One should be north of the Broad, one should be south of the Broad.
There may not be a second public hearing. We don't know that for sure.
Oh, we don't?
No.
Oh.
Now,
we
can we
don't?
move
Oh,
the
I didn't know
agenda?
that. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
this meeting will be televised too, won't it?
Yes, it will. Yeah, thank you. It's like we televise all of our meetings. It will be, and I want to just say to the chairman, thank you for that. I think the public here on this side appreciate that because they wouldn't have to travel. But anyway, let's move the agenda to the public comment. Let me read my. Yeah, let me read my statement. Again, for those who were not here earlier, at the public comment, every member of the public who is recognized to speak shall limit comments to 3 minutes and observe the following protocol. Address the chair and in speaking, avoid disrespect to council or any personalities. Confine themselves to the questions under the jurisdiction of council. Be mindful and respectful to those who are present and others who may be watching on TV. And at this time, the chair would like to recognize Senator Campson. Senator Campson. And the chair will take the liberty, because this is the senator, to allow him to speak.
No time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have y'all received the letter that I sent by email today?
I just got it, but I hadn't read it, but yeah, I scanned it, but yes, sir.
Oh, you just got it. Well, I'm going to read it, and then I'll make a few comments, and happy
Yes,
to
sir.
answer any questions that anyone may have, address any issues. But this is addressed to Councilman York Glover, the chairman of this committee. Dear Chairman Glover, as the South Carolina senator that represents St. Helena Island, I wish to express my strong opposition to a proposed zoning amendment application and development agreement that would carve Pine Island out of Beaufort County's current cultural protection overlay zone standards. I represent one half of South Carolina's coast, from Bulls Bay in Charleston County to Port Royal Sound in Beaufort County. As a fifth-generation low-country native and avid outdoorsman, I know this coast like the back of my hand. St. Helena Island is unquestionably South Carolina's most culturally rich and consequently its most culturally vulnerable sea island. It is at the heart of South Carolina's Gullah Geechee culture that is suffering gentrification everywhere else along the coast. From St. Helenaville, where freed slaves settled during and after the Civil War, to the Penn Center, where generations received the education they had so long been denied, to historic and bountiful Port Royal and St. Helena Sounds that supplied their subsistence, to Martin Luther King's covert meetings at the Penn Center during the Civil Rights Movement. The history and heritage of the Gullah Geechee culture is inextricably intertwined with St. Helena. The proposed zoning amendment application and development agreement is a threat to this rich and irreplaceable cultural heritage. I announced at the Penn Center's 160th anniversary celebration in 2022 that Representative Michael Rivers and I secured almost $2 million for Penn Center renovations to further its important work. I subsequently secured $1 million appropriation for a Gullah Geechee Cultural Center and Market on St. Helena to preserve and showcase Gullah Geechee culture. Retreating from CPO protections at this juncture would be at odds with these state appropriations designed to preserve St. Helena's rich cultural heritage and history. The current CPO has protected St. Helena from gentrification experienced everywhere else along our coast, most of it in my district. In its wisdom, County Council plotted a different course for St. Helena years ago, a path that values and preserves its immeasurably rich history, culture, and natural resources. I employ the Natural Resource Committee and County Council at large to stay the course. Thank you for your consideration and for your service to beautiful, historic Beaufort County. And one other issue, as I was driving here from Bennett's Point, it's 10 miles away from my place at Bennett's Point, but it takes over an hour to drive. Thank God for that. If we had bridges across these inlets in the southern part of the state, we'd look like Charleston and Myrtle Beach. One other thing that comes to my mind, though, as I was driving, if you do grant this exception, if you accept this application, which creates an exception to the overlay district, what will be the limiting principle going forward? What is the criteria? How can you reject someone else's request? What will be your limiting principle? In my view, I think there would be no limiting principle, which means that other developers would step forward wanting to do similar things, and the cultural overlay district would really go away. Now, I'll be happy to take any questions.
The senator is here, and it's unusual to have a senator. So if anybody have a question for the senator, we can entertain those questions or comments and stuff. But other than that, we would just want to thank you. So,
well,
go ahead.
I'd like to say
Yes, sir.
a couple other things. Number one, I listened to Mike McShane, who's my good friend and ally in conservation. In fact, I authored the South Carolina Conservation Bank Act that has protected almost 500,000 acres in South Carolina. And there's no county in the state, because I keep track of this, but there's no county in the state that has done more for conservation, to augment that funding, because I was proud to have co-sponsored Tom Davis's bill that created the sales tax revenue for conservation. There's no other county in the state of South Carolina who is as committed and puts their money where their mouth is when it comes to conservation. And I applaud y'all for that, and I think now is not the time to retreat from that commitment. And I'll end, and since no one's going to ask questions, I'll speak a little. I'm a senator, I'm going to speak a little longer, okay? Really. But I'm going to end with a quote. One of my favorite quotes regarding conservation was from John Sawhill, who was the president of the Nature Conservancy. He was also the president of NYU and also of the Nature Conservancy subsequently in life. And John Sawhill said this, and I've taken it to heart as something that has really motivated me when it comes to my passion for conservation. John Sawhill said this: a society is defined not only by what it creates, but also by what it refuses to destroy. And I would implore County Council to take heed of Saw Hill's words of wisdom and don't destroy what you have done thus far, on beautiful, historic St. Helena Island. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Senator, for taking time to come down. We appreciate you visiting Beaufort. The next person on this list is Jared Madison. Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Council. History suggests that we should teach our children first, above all things, to seek out wealth, power, and callousness. Here you can do what you please. We make Jesus a liar by our profound efforts, but because it seems seeking first the kingdom of God only equates to being exploited. I must admit the perceived authority and essence of dominion is quite captivating, but one must first consider the psyche of a person of this consciousness, the mind of the godless imperialist. With boundaries and site design set, youth's limitations were clearly defined. Cultural protection overlay. 3 seemingly benign words referencing a quite easily understandable ordinance. Let's break down these words to come to a more mutual understanding of their independent, therefore subsequent correlating meaning. Cultural, denoting or deriving from or distinctive of the ways of living built by a group of people. Protection, the process of keeping something or someone safe. Safe, free from risk. Risk is the probability of a negative outcome or decision of event. Overlay, to lay, spread, or apply something over or across. Therefore, we can surmise that combine the words cultural protection overlay mean to keep safe the distinctive ways of living built by a group of people from the probability of a negative outcome or event across a defined area. So now let us consider for the purpose the mind of the Pine Island investors and developers. Who here has children? Any of you have daughters? Imagine raising your daughter and putting all your love and wisdom into her with the hopes that she will live a long, successful life and be a good person. Now imagine she goes off on her own to college. It's bittersweet, but you've done a good job at parenting and you're confident in your daughter and society and the rules and regulations in place to keep her safe. Now imagine one day an older man in his 50s sees her beauty and is blown away. He makes a pass at her and she denies him. Now imagine that man does not take no for an answer. He's built a very successful life and to the point he never hears that word. It upsets him that she has denied his offer. Because above all else, this man seeks power and authority, he follows her home one night and forcibly garners her compliance. The man doesn't care about what he has done is illegal, or that there were laws in place to prevent something like this from occurring, or the pain he's caused by his action, because he has good lawyers and he's gotten away with this before, and furthermore, he believes it's his absolute right to do things like this. His money, power, and prestige have made him invincible to the rules of mere men. Because of his authority, evidence is lost and no trials is conducted, no justice is served to this man, and he continues to live his life and continues to do the same thing to other young, innocent women. Now imagine, as a parent, how this experience would make you feel. In this story, the Gullah Geechee people and that's land on St. Helena represent the young girl. The developing their investors represent the old man. You see, they know there were laws in place to protect a distinctive culture, and they still attempted to carry out their plan. They knew that the people of the area didn't want what they were offering, just like the young girl in the story, but they pursued it anyway. They heard the pleading cries for deliverance and laughed in the face of innocence. This move, like all attacks on grace, seek to bind you to the chains of hopelessness. It is the intent here to make the area more prosperous, to bring in more jobs and infrastructure, or is intent here to wipe away the unpleasant reminder of a distasteful time in our country's history, while simultaneously reminding the descendants of slaves that the time has not rested the shackles of injustice that bound their ancestors.
Thank you. Yes, I'm sorry. Mrs. White, Teresa White. Yes.
Hello, I'm Teresa White, founder and chief executive officer of the Pan-African Family Empowerment and Land Preservation Network, which is both best known for our Help Save Gullah Geechee Land campaign, which is celebrating its 10th year this year. You have all received a copy of my letter to Pine Island developer Elvio Trapiano, which outlines my concerns about the development agreement before County Council. And you may have also had an opportunity to read my Voices op-ed in the Island News on the 27th, which also talked about my concerns. But what I'm going to talk about tonight, since you've already read those things, is it seems to me that a number of steps have been skipped in this process, and I'm a little confused about why that happened, because it gives the public the perception that the fix is already in to give to grant an exception from CPO so that the 18-hole golf course can be built. First of all, the development agreement process was not passed. It was supposed to come through this committee before it went to county council for a vote. And you're supposed to do that before you set up negotiations with his attorney on the development agreement. So you actually did it out of sequence for a reason that makes no sense to anybody who thinks that it's being fair and square to everybody involved. So when that happened, the previous illusion of transparency, which was created when the development agreement was published online for everybody to see, and when it was discussed and dissected at length during the May 5th Planning Commission meeting, has now disappeared. And people want to know why an outside attorney was called in to assess the development agreement when you have a perfectly competent county attorney who's already experienced in working with development agreements when he was the city attorney for the town of Hilton Head Island. And one other thing is I would like to see county council do something to restore public faith in this process, being impartial by opening up the negotiations so that the public can actually participate in it instead of doing everything behind closed doors. And that's right, they are entitled to under South Carolina state law. Thank you.
Thank you. David Mitchell.
Chairman, Commission, thank you. Chairman, Commission, thanks so much for having me. We all know the facts. We've been inundated with them. I'm the chair of the board of the Penn Center. I have been since January, and 163 years is a lot to take in. It's a lot of information. As Senator Campson alluded to, Dr. King's relevance in the Penn Center, and the thing that struck me driving over today from Atlanta, sitting here, listening to all this, I would be remiss if I didn't say the Penn Center built a retreat house for Dr. King. He never stepped foot in it. He was assassinated prior to ever having anything to do with it. For 57 years, we've done our duty. We've maintained the retreat house. Everyone in this room can go to the retreat house. Everyone can understand what we do at the Penn Center. It's our duty. 26 years ago, the CPO was passed. It's the same thing. A deal is a deal. That's what you do. We live up to our honor. We live up to our heritage. I hear everyone talk about family, 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 family a lot. This is our family. Everywhere you look around, there's an aspect of who belongs, who doesn't belong. Once you pay your taxes, you as a municipality know that you now have contributed. Once you've done something to show that you are in love with it, that you're willing to defend it, that you're willing to drive all over creation, the aspect of where you host meetings, where you don't host meetings, who you invite, who you don't invite. This thing has been discussed for 3 years. We know where we are on this subject. We know where we are in this conversation. The Penn Center has stood its ground for 163 years, which I would also be remiss if I didn't say is the oldest institution in this room. There is something to be said for duty. There's something to be said for honor. And most of all, there's something to be said for courage. And I think so often, courage is the word that's being absent in this conversation. You had the courage to do it 26 years ago. You've had the courage to reinforce it 2 years ago. I beseech you, hold that courage, hold the light, lead us forward, and put this thing to rest. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Marilyn Hemingway. Marilyn Hemingway.
Good evening. My name is Marilyn Hemingway. I'm with the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce. Recently, I read with interest an op-ed in the Island Packet with commentary, and also Councilman Glover's platform has District 3's representative. I am compelled to respond because the conversation around Pine Island has drifted into a dangerous place. One where the entire burden of solving long-standing social, cultural, and economic challenges is being shifted onto a private development agreement rather than where it rightfully belongs, with elected leadership. The op-ed author argues that a private developer should underwrite heirs property reform, establish public transportation networks, fund workforce development initiatives, and guarantee the preservation of cultural institutions. But let's pause. These are not developer responsibilities. They are the very core of what Councilman Glover has the elected representatives for St. Helena Island, Ladies Island, and Beaufort pledged to do in his own platform. Expand public infrastructure, improve healthcare and housing, protect property values, support recreation and youth programs, and promote cultural growth. These are the promises Councilman Glover was elected to fulfill. If they remain unfilled, is it fair or even logical to demand that a single landowner now assume the mantle of the government? The op-ed author calls for millions to be diverted into heirs property, transportation, and nonprofit programming. But these are precisely the areas where your office and Beaufort County Council hold both the budgetary authority and statutory responsibility. So the questions become, why have you not established a tax relief fund for heirs property owners already, an action recommended in the comprehensive plan? Why has reliable public transportation to and from St. Helena not materialized under your watch, another action recommended in the comprehensive plan? Why are our young people still waiting for the technical training and workforce pipelines your platform promised? This is what is being demonstrated at the 808 Sea Island Parkway. Meanwhile, the Pine Island proposal is being positioned as though it alone can remedy decades of inaction. That is neither fair to the property owner nor honest to the people of St. Helena. Developers can and should always be good neighbors and contribute positively to the community regardless of negotiation. Your role should be to facilitate those discussions when an opportunity presents itself. Yet you have, Councilman Glover, seemingly thwarted attempting to find common ground for over 3 years. Willing contributions by a developer should never be treated as a substitute for government leadership. This results in the people being doubly cheated. First, by unmet campaign promises, and second, by the erosion of trust that comes when elected officials deflect their responsibilities onto outsiders.
Thank you, Ms. Hemingway. You're
Your
over
own
time.
platform speaks of balancing development
Ms.
and
Hemingway,
preserving the unique character
Ms.
of
Hemingway,
rural
you have
communities.
gone, Ms.
Yet your
Hemingway,
record
I would
reflects
appreciate if you would
opportunities declined,
give your
inconclusive
comments at this
findings,
time to
and a steady erosion of confidence in leadership
Ms.
that's
Hemingway.
supposed to safeguard
Ms. Hemingway.
both cultural integrity and economic growth.
Ms. Hemingway, you are out of
Rather than
order.
refusing to negotiate
Ms.
with
Hemingway,
willing
you are out
partners,
of order.
why not
Would you
ask
please
yourself what has
leave the
been
podium?
accomplished with the years of
Please
authority,
cut her off.
budget access, and influence you already hold? It is time to rethink the true cost.
All right,
Not
the
of
next
money
person will
involved,
come
Arnold
forward,
Brown.
please.
but of leadership that fails to
Arnold
deliver
Brown.
on its commitments. The people of St. Helena deserve accountability and vision from their elected council member. Passing the buck to a developer
Ms.
is
Hemingway,
not leadership.
would you please stop?
Thank you for your time and consideration, with all due respect.
Well, you should respect this chair. Thank you.
Well, she took someone else's time out. We won't have 15 people.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown?
All right. And I'm sure that's the same respect others that you allowed to go over time, that they gave that to you also.
I only permitted the chair, the senator.
Arnold, we'll tape this time.
Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Good evening, and thank you for your service. You really have a tough job to do, and we really appreciate it. But we got to quit meeting like this, okay? Before, I was a real estate agent for over 25 years in another state of Michigan, and one of the most important documents was a closing date and a disclosure document. Without a disclosure document, you're in the soup. Before the investor bought the property, he consulted with his lawyers, several lawyers. He consulted with Mr. Greenway. He consulted with the county attorney. And he was told in advance there was a restriction on the property. But he bought the property anyway, and then he brought to the community golf course or 160 homes. Well, we didn't fall for that. We stuck by the law that said no golf and no gate. As far as an inducement, the only thing different between the first application and the second application, major difference, is $2.5 million. Well, we didn't go for that either. We are not interested in 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, or $10 million to sell our heritage. We are not interested in that. The government, okay, whether it's federal, state, or local government, should not be a part of a transaction. You're hearing that on the news now about Intel being invested, the government invested in Intel, and on television, on the cable channels, they're talking about that, and they're calling that communism. So do not start that. That is not a good area to go into by having the government picking winners or losers. So socialism, I'm not sure what it is, but I don't think we want that. And that's a term that's being used when the government is bailing out. And I use that word, bailing out an investor. I ask that you listen to the community. Not just the community on St. Helena Island, but all over Beaufort County as well as South Carolina. You would be hard pressed to find 100 people that support the carving out the CPO for an investor. There is of course, the 1999 and 2023 zoning law. There's a comp plan, spot zoning. If someone came in an application and says, Robert Smalls ate a lot of pancake, he ate a lot of fish, and we want to change his house into a restaurant, I think you guys would vote that down immediately. The planning department, please do not ignore the planning department and their recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Carrie Major. Ms. Carrie Major.
Good evening to council and chair. We thank you for allowing me to do this. I read an article in the paper that said Elvio Tropiano was a great strategist, and the way things look, he is. In the plans that he's caused you to second guess the law. My prayer for council, this committee, is not to give in, stand for what's right, stay the course, uphold the law, maintain the CPO. And I saw some things here this afternoon that caused me to kind of think, and the scripture came to me, a house divided cannot stand. So I hope that you all become connected again and stay the course. No gates, no golf course. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is, all this person has is their first name, Elizabeth. Elizabeth? Okay, thank you.
Good day. Thank you for allowing me the chance to speak. This is going to be kind of quick. It is said that my people are destroyed and go into captivity for the lack of knowledge. So I'm here today to speak truth and facts and not to play on the people's emotions. What's funny is that I've witnessed people not being able to start a detailing business or reopen a business on their property on St. Helena because the only thing that you can do under the CPO are things like fishing, crabbing, woodworking, lawn care, housekeeping, cultural entertainment, landscaping, culinary arts, heritage, tourism, art, music, and storytelling. But apparently detailing doesn't fall under that. All other developers that come in, they want more density, more everything, and never ask the community what they want, but not this developer. You have a developer that has actually came in, stopped what he can already do that the CPO allows, which is build 100+ homes. That's okay, but it seems like no one is looking at that fact, that it's okay for him to do that now, but he has not. And have you asked yourself, why hasn't he done that yet? Why is he still communicating with the community to try to make a change that will benefit everyone, not just him? It will benefit the community, the developers, and Beaufort County as a whole. So I don't see the problem in that. Another thing that I don't think the people understand is that the developer has been doing this for 2 years. I've watched and helped ask the community for almost 2 years, let me get it correct, what they want to see in their community. And what has happened is the developer has taken that information, revamped the plan, and came back with the down zoning plan, which asks for less. Those are the facts. And it also, I just want to answer the question of how does the down zoning plan benefit the community? It will bring millions of investment into the community. It will help to preserve and beautify and economically empower and educate the community, creating responsible and sustainable growth without destroying the waterways. The Gullah people, I think, they are fighting. No, I don't think I know. What they're fighting for is gentrification, and they don't know it yet. Because what they're fighting for is to stay in the position that they've been in for the past 30 years. And if the people of St. Helena get what they think they're fighting for, they're gonna get exactly what they don't want, which is a full residential build out. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roy Brown?
Good afternoon, and thank you for looking at the down zoning plan. I think it'll be beneficial to everyone that is concerned. I sometimes talk to young people and ask them questions about how they see life in the future. And I put to them a short quiz of 147 houses on a riverbank that African Americans call their home for fishing and shrimping. And then I asked them about 40 homes on a riverbank with a golf course. Young people got sense, they can count. They said 147 homes on the river with septic tanks would destroy St. Helena Island. They said 40 homes with non-residential people on a golf course makes a lot of sense. Don't take no rocket scientist to figure that one out. So if you educate people, people get excited and get mad about it. So that's what I do. I've been in the post office 40 years. And for them that don't know me, this is what I did in the post office. I negotiated. And if you negotiate for what you want, you can get it. But if you fight for everything that you think you don't want, that's what you're gonna get. I often look at the CPO. The CPO was good at the time that it was designed. And I understand preservation is the main character, but that is fine. But the people now, who are they preserving it for? Are they preserving it for the Gullah people who claims that they're preserving it for them, or they're preserving it for somebody else? And I see somebody else. I see Coastal Conservation League. I see the South Carolina Preservation Department. They're not deserving anything for African Americans on St. Helena Island. I see a young man that came to Beaufort, South Carolina, and disrupt the antidote, and you can't take it, and you don't know how to do it by putting one against the other. On St. Helena Island, people needs a very, very needy place. I do the Red Cross. Very seldom I go to a house on St. Helena Island, and the people that say they are doing fine have house insurance. I do the Red Cross. I very seldom go to any house on St. Helena Island and a tree fell in the house. Do they have house insurance? Benefits from this project would help them on St. Helena Island. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know who's in their head. Benefits from this project would benefit the people on St. Helena Island. Stick to your guns, negotiate, do what is the right thing. Our children are suffering too much for us not to observe or to get funds that when we can get funds for our children. I listen to the senator, I listen to a lot of people, and I talk to a bunch of senators.
Mr. Brown, thank you.
But I understand that. But I just want to get this out.
Mr. Brown.
Let's do what's right for our children.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you so much.
Let's be respectful. Whether I agree or disagree, let's be respectful and hear everybody out. Thank you. Mr. Clark Trask.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and council members. I appreciate all y'all's efforts on our community's behalf. My name is Clark Trask. I was born in 1966 and grew up on St. Helena Island. It is home where my parents are buried and the place I wish my own ashes to be spread one day. It is also where my family has put a conservation easement on almost 1,000 acres to preserve it as fields and ponds and woodlands. For those who love St. Helena Island, these are tough times. Drive around Beaufort and Port Royal and you'll see blocks of apartment buildings replacing oak trees. Drive to Bluffton or Hilton Head and you're in a different world altogether. On your return trip, you will notice that it takes 5 bridges to reach St. Helena. Driving through downtown Beaufort, you'll see a place where the entire town is on the National Historic Register, where the uniqueness of its architecture and history is preserved because it is so special. Some may remember the early 1990s when the DOT wanted to 5-lane the Chowan Creek Bridge and the route across St. Helena. I was on the St. Helena Citizens Advisory Committee with Joe Sherman and Joe Stevens and Gloria Potts, a group not unlike the coalition gathered here today seeking to preserve what is precious and unspoiled and worth fighting for. So what exactly is it that has aroused such strong emotions? 3 minutes is not enough to even begin, but let me say there is no silent majority supporting this golf course. Those words are patronizing and insulting. And while St. Helena's culture is rooted in history, it is surely not immune from worldly ills. Maybe the most difficult of those ills is that the world wants a piece of it. A developer wants to build a private golf course on an island. A developer drawn to this place for the very reason we are fighting for it. A developer who threatens to build 160 homes if the county does not grant him his golf course. A mentor in medicine once told me, don't just stand there, do nothing. Sometimes the hardest and wisest thing to do is nothing. And yet, County Council, that is what so many here today are asking of you. Please do not alter the CPO. If so, where does it end? With more gated communities? With more golf courses spilling herbicides into our pristine waters? With saltwater intrusion into our wells due to the millions of gallons of water that even so-called green golf courses disproportionately consume? My plea to County Council is that your legacy be one of preservation. It doesn't just have to be buildings in downtown Beaufort. The developer frames this as a tails I win, heads you lose situation. For surely 59 houses is better than 160. That misses the point altogether. The precedent set by this ruling will reverberate far beyond Pine Island. Please uphold the CPO. Years ago, citizens with great foresight laid out a vision to preserve the rural nature of St. Helena Island, specifically forbidding any new golf courses or gated communities. Many of those folks are now deceased. They did their part. Please carry the torch, pass the baton, defend the CPO, and let it be remembered that you did your part, that you did not change the rules, but that you stood firm in protecting this most precious part of Beaufort County and indeed of the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Walter Mack. Walter Mack.
Good evening. Thank y'all for having me. For over 65 years, I've lived on this wonderful St. Helena Island, special place. I grew up on a small family farm where there was always the ongoing practice of conservation. I was taught to take care of the land and the waters, and it'll take care of you. The lessons I've learned inspired me to join several conservation organizations, the Open Land Trust, Nature Conservancy, and USDA, and others. But today I'm not speaking on behalf of any of these organizations. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, a landowner, resident, and small farmer on St. Helena Island. During the mid-1990s, I believe it was, Beaufort County came and said they wanted to follow a state mandate to develop a conservation plan. I recall the first meeting that they had, and the plan from Beaufort County came with these elaborate plans, and it looks familiar like Hilton Head or Myrtle Beach. So we said we didn't want it, and we requested time to develop our own plan. And what happened out of that, the committee worked long hours, and we came up with a district that they did not even have. It's called a Rural Agriculture District. And that was the core of our CPO plan. And this was critical because I just reviewed a survey, and where our organization was tracking the number of farmers in Beaufort County. And a farmer is defined by USDA as anybody who can generate $1,000. And there were 40 farmers that were identified. And guess what? There were only 4 on south of the Broad, and 1 was a tree farmer. So that tells you what development does. Again, we asked them to dismantle the CPO, and the developer asked us to cut off part of the CPO. But St. Helena Island is a living ecosystem. When you try to cut off the water, the land, the air, the wind, part of that dies, and what happened, the entire island died. And the part island will also be bordering the Morgan River. And you know, the Morgan River leads into the East Basin. So just imagine that with all the wonderful things that they're going to bring, they're also going to bring some stuff that really interfere with the East Basin. And I just want to commend, again, this organization, the county council, and the people here. You've got a gift here. You have something wonderful. You have this CPO there's no other in the state of South Carolina. In my understanding, there's none other like this in the United States. So you got something special. You got to stick to your gun. And those people who look like me, and I'm saying they talk about generational wealth and all that. You have generational wealth.
Mr. Mack.
You have the land, and you have you have the land, and you have the culture. So hold on to that and fight for what you got.
Thank you, Mr. Mack.
Thank
you. I must apologize, Keith Austin. Ellis, I'm sorry. I overlook you, Keith Ellis. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Chairman. I just got one question. How many times do we have to fight this same battle? I mean, how many bites of the apple do you get? If I was trying to develop this island, and I've been turned down several times, but I still be getting another shot, another shot, another shot. Let's just set a date now. Let's meet every third Tuesday. I mean, it's in the Gulf Coast. I hear all this talk about it's not gonna hurt the environment. I'm an avid outdoorsman. I fish, I hunt, I crab, pick oysters. That's so far from the truth. And I know the developers, they know that too, but they're trying to pass the buck that hoping people don't understand that you're gonna have runoff. The water they're saying that they're not gonna use herbicide, pesticide. How would you treat a green without that stuff? All that's all chemicals. And they don't belong in the water. That's why we don't have the bottom feeders around here now that we used to have, catfishes. All that stuff, way back we had all that. Once the Gulf Coasters came that wasn't on St. Helena, it killed off all those that's right in our area. So all this, but it's not gonna hurt the environment. That's far from the truth. And I just want this board, Congress Councilman, to uphold the CPO it wasn't put in place to be negotiated. And I feel like right now, it's being negotiated. It's not, it was put in place, it's a law. It was put in place for the reason that it's the purpose it serves right now. So why have one person, one individual that's not from here? Everybody that's for this golf course, they're not from here. I'm a 61-year-old man. I've been here all my life. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, infantry. We go to combat, we dig in. We don't retreat. So they could come every week when I'm here, I'm digging in. So we ain't going nowhere. I'll bring the drinks. But, you know, it's crazy to be having the same conversation week after week, the same narratives being said every week. What's changing? So when it's gonna be a definite no? No means no. It's like, okay, we get 10 no's, but we waiting on for one yes? And that one yes gonna change the thing, probably. So waiting on one yes. How many times it's been voted down a no? So how many more times you have to hear no? That's all I wanted to ask. How many no's do we have to get before? I'm quite sure y'all got other pressing issues to handle too. Other than the same CPO meeting every time. Y'all don't have nothing else on the agenda? That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Just want to let council know at this time, there are 3 other people. Should we move forward to finish this up at this time? Okay, then, oh, I need a motion to extend? Oh,
Is there 3 more that want to speak?
yes.
I think we should hear them.
So give me a motion to extend.
I'll make the motion to extend.
Do I get a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Any objection? Thank you. Yeah. Inez Miller.
Good evening, Council. I won't be before you long. I've been up here before. I wanted to show you this. These are golf courses that are in Beaufort County. So if you would take one and pass it to the next so that you don't have it. Proof that we don't need a golf course in Beaufort County, especially on St. Helena Island. We have the signatures, as I stated before, 25,000 and counting. Go to Protect St. Helena, everyone, and sign that petition to keep St. Helena as it is. Remember, Council, even though you don't represent St. Helena per se, you have people, I'm sure, in your area who has property on St. Helena Island and would want it to remain as it is. Keep the CPO as it is. Protect, protect, protect. Remember, I told you about the 3 Ps and said I would kiss every one of your feet. Don't let me have to get down here and do that. But if people kiss a pig and it'll protect St. Helena, hell, I'm willing to do it. People came up here today and speak about jobs, and even last week. We don't need no back of the woods job. I teach you how to open oyster. We got somebody who has funding, Miss Sarah Reynolds Green, who just got funding, thank God for her, to prepare her building so that people can come and learn those things. And we invite you to come and learn those things as well. I'm the docent at Fort Fremont. I've been before you before. Please don't take these dirty tactics on, we only welcome in areas, I don't like that, where we clean in someone's house or cooking their food. That's offensive to us. We went through it coming up. We saw our parents had to do that, and we don't deserve those type of jobs. If some of the people who came up here today would understand that, and those that came up here today, they're not from St. Helena Island. They are not, including the young man who said he was a real estate guy on last week. He isn't from St. Helena. He was from Port Row. So I take that as a slap in the face. Those people are being bribed, and it's not a good thing. We don't want St. Helena to be how, if you went to Hilton Head now, they have it labeled Gullah communities. Is that what we're going to resort to? That's not good. I still want to be able to, if I go to my neighbor house and they get shrimp, they're sharing it with me. If they get fish, they're sharing it with me. Let us not be bribed. If you need money, let me pay you, not that type of money. Thank you.
Dennis Ross. Dennis Ross.
Dennis Ross?
Dennis Ross. Okay. And he's in the other room?
He was here earlier.
While he's coming, Frankie Nelson. Yes.
Okay, well, I'll be last, but I've been thinking about something. I live on St. Helena Island over on Club Ridge Road. My parents brought me to Beaufort County in 1960, 59-60. And, you know, what I think about, I worked retired landscaper on Fripp Island. I know a lot about golf courses. I interacted with the superintendents. You can't have a high-end golf course without pesticides and herbicides. Now, they might not run it into the creek, but won't it go into the aquifer? Won't that go on out to everywhere? And, okay, so there's 500 acres on Pine Island. I think, 160 houses wouldn't make that big of an impact, but a golf course would. And it would be bringing more people to that golf course to play golf. That means more traffic. And y'all know what we deal with traffic right now, right? And what about the runoff into the ditches that, all that traffic does? Doesn't that disturb our natural resources? I mean, I don't really understand what natural resources doing involved in this, except for maybe you care about that natural resource. So I'm hoping you do. And I'm really disappointed to see that this council member doesn't care about what the public says and got up and left. I don't know who she represents, but I think they ought to know if she ain't representing us.
I think she has to get out, is why she left.
Yeah, let's not.
Okay, so wider roads, more traffic. What about property taxes? Is my property taxes going to go up when we got a resort? I mean, because isn't that what happened on Hilton Head and Bluffton, that ran out all those people that couldn't afford to pay their taxes because all these high-end golf courses came on? So it's a historical, natural resource. Let's protect it. Be with us, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
Dennis Ross wasn't in the other room?
No, and I want to just say this publicly. Queen Quet, I have you here, but I think you've spoken, so you're fine. So I didn't include you in the three. Okay, thank you. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Beaufort County TV.